Bonsoir tout le monde et bienvenue. Welcome to this Coffee Break French Facebook Live. We are delighted to be here and very excited to be here because tonight we have a special event. We are launching a brand new series of Coffee Break French. This is the Coffee Break French magazine and we are delighted to be here to do so. Now, if technology is working as it should and if our internet connections are going well, then I should be able to bring you a very special guest indeed. Let's have a look.
Bonsoir, comment vas-tu?
Alors, je pense que tout le monde va nous entendre maintenant. Oui, voilà.
J'espère.
Oui, comment vas-tu?
Très très bien, et je te posais la même question. Comment vas-tu? Et surtout à tous nos auditeurs et ceux qui nous regardent, bien sûr, comment allez-vous tous?
Exactement. Moi, je suis un peu stressé ce soir, il faut dire, parce qu'il y a autant de choses qui passent, mais voilà,
Bien
ça va
sûr.
maintenant.
Je suis trop content d'être avec vous.
We have definitely got a few listeners and people watching tonight. So let's have a look at who we've got. Let me see. Da-da-dum. I think I can push these to the screen. We've got Blaine, who's waiting for it to begin in New York City. Thank you, Blaine. We're delighted you're enjoying us. Paul, can't wait. Nor can we. Tonya is curieuse. We've got Adrienne, who's saying bonjour from Seattle. Heidi in CT. We've got John, who's excited about the new format. Merci beaucoup. He did wish us good luck, so that's very good. We've got Tonya saying bonsoir. Jane is asking when are we going to start? Well, we're started already. Nous avons commencé déjà. We've got Grove listening from sunny Southern California, and I think if I remember rightly,
Oh,
Grove is actually Ron. We've got Ham watching us from the Isle of Man. And someone saying, good to see Pierre. So there you go. You've got your fans in tonight.
c'est sympa. Merci.
We've also got Heidi and we have Tara joining us from Denver, Colorado. Now, what's going to happen on this broadcast? Well, first of all, we're going to be having a listen together to the very first episode of our new series. Now, the series has not
Ouh.
yet begun. It's not available to the public. It's not available anywhere other than on my computer at the moment. But later this evening, it will go up onto the podcast feed. So if you're subscribed to Coffee Break French, then you will automatically get this without a problem. But before then, you're going to be the first people to hear this new episode. Now, it lasts just over 20 minutes, so we're going to be listening together, and then we'll have a chat about it, and we'll also be doing some interactive translation challenges a little later on. And that's one of the
Oh,
reasons Pierre
super.
Benoit is here to help us with those. We've got lots more people who are joining us. We've got, oh my goodness, we've got people joining us from Tanzania, from
Oh.
Detroit, Dar es Salaam, Toronto.
Ah ah.
Voilà. Phil saying salut les gars. Je suis trop content de vous écouter après si longtemps. Ah, c'est sympa. Merci beaucoup.
C'est
We've got
trop sympa. Merci, oui.
Raymond from Jamaica. We've got Noon from Atlanta. We've got Rita from Maine. We have got lots of people joining us tonight. A couple of people are saying that they can't hear anything. The microphones seem to be working now, so hopefully everything is okay. As I say, we're going to be having a listen to this podcast together. Then afterwards, there will be time to do some language practice, and we can try that together. And also, if you've got any questions, we'd be very happy to answer those questions. Now, of course, this is a live broadcast. Things can go wrong. Crossing our fingers tonight that everything goes according to
Non.
plan. But I think what we're going to do now, if I just take this off, there we go. Yeah, I think what we're going to do now is actually have a listen to the podcast. So we will be back with you after the podcast. It's an audio podcast, of course, so you're going to be watching a screen with not a lot on it. Some sound waves, that's about it. But nevertheless, you can listen and you can pay close attention to what you're hearing. And then afterwards, we'll be back. We'll be back on camera. And that way we'll be able to do some interactive challenges based on what you've heard. So we really hope that you enjoy this first episode of our Coffee Break French magazine, presented by me and Pierre Benoit, but also presented by our colleague Susie, whom you'll be hearing during the podcast. And Susie will perhaps join us another night for another live broadcast at some point soon, hopefully. Okay, here goes. This is the world premiere of the Coffee Break French magazine podcast, episode 1. Coffee Break French Magazine, Season 1, Episode 1. Et ben voilà, on est de retour.
Nous sommes de retour, Marc. Comment vas-tu?
Très bien, et toi?
Oui, très bien, très bien.
Welcome to this first episode of our brand new Coffee Break French podcast. Now, you might be thinking, is this season 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? Well, the thing is, it's not really in the style of our previous seasons. We're just going to be doing an ongoing podcast, bringing you French information, culture, grammar, all the usual wonderful stuff. Et bien sûr, je suis là avec mon copain Pierre Benoît.
De retour à nouveau, comme j'ai dit tout à l'heure. Donc,
oui.
Tout va bien. Nous commençons un nouveau programme.
Un nouveau programme, un nouveau projet.
Ouais.
Et donc, on est très contents. Alors, Pierre Benoît, qu'est-ce que tu en penses?
Je trouve ça fantastique qu'il y ait plusieurs parties dans ce nouveau projet.
Oui,
je suis emballé à l'idée que des gens puissent en fait contribuer et poser des questions. Bon, on y va, c'est parti.
Okay. We'll be giving you more information later in the show to tell you how you can send us your question. But for now, let's get started with the first segment of our podcast. Ok, alors, pour commencer aujourd'hui, nous avons un texte très intéressant à propos de
la raclette, Marc.
La raclette. Okay, so it's over to Susie for our text. Let's have a listen to the text and then, of course, we'll discuss it in more detail.
Allez, Suzy, c'est à toi.
La raclette est un fromage de lait de vache qui donne son nom à un repas convivial d'origine suisse. C'est un plat qui se mange souvent en hiver, après une journée de ski ou de luge. Au Moyen-Âge, la raclette était consommée par les bergers dans les Alpes de la région de Valais en Suisse et en Savoie et Haute-Savoie en France. Les bergers emmenaient le fromage dans les montagnes et le faisaient fondre sur un morceau de pain. Le terme raclette est dérivé du verbe français racler et désigne le fromage ainsi que le plat. Le fromage à raclette existe en plusieurs parfums: nature, fumé, au poivre, au cumin, aux herbes ou au vin blanc. Il faut environ 200 grammes de fromage par personne. Le plat est traditionnellement accompagné de pommes de terre, de cornichons et d'oignons au vinaigre, de charcuterie et souvent servi avec un vin blanc de la région, comme un fendant ou un pinot blanc. Autrefois, la raclette se faisait au feu de bois, mais aujourd'hui on utilise des fours à raclette électriques, composés d'un grill électrique et d'une plaque chauffante, que l'on pose tout simplement au milieu de la table, ce qui rend la soirée très conviviale. On met le fromage dans des petites poêles individuelles appelées coupelles et on les place sous le grill jusqu'à ce que le fromage fonde. Les autres aliments tels que les légumes et la viande peuvent être cuits sur la plaque chauffante pendant que le fromage est en train de fondre. Ensuite, il ne reste plus qu'à verser le fromage fondu sur les aliments grillés et les pommes de terre, sans oublier de souhaiter à tout le monde bon appétit.
Oh là 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 là, ça met l'eau à la bouche.
Ah oui, c'est vrai que ça donne vraiment envie de manger. Hein.
I love that expression, ça met l'eau à la bouche. We've used it many times in Coffee Break French and on social media and so on. It means that puts water in the mouth. It makes your mouth water. J'adore. Okay, let's talk a little more about la raclette and we'll go through the text and talk about any interesting vocabulary or grammar covered in this text. So, Pierre-Benoît, can you read the first sentence for us?
Oui. La raclette est un fromage de lait de vache qui donne son nom à un repas convivial d'origine suisse.
Okay, as ever, when we're listening to things, we're trying to pick up key words here. So we've got, first of all, la raclette est un fromage de lait de vache. So it's a cheese from milk of cow.
Yeah.
So a cow's milk cheese. And it also is something else. The cheese itself gives its name to what?
To a dish.
To a dish.
To a particular dish.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to be hearing more about that dish in the text. It also says that the dish itself is part of what? Un repas convivial.
Well, yeah, because it would be very much of a shame if you had to eat raclette on your own.
Yeah,
it's something you have to share.
Exactly. Okay, so let's see what else we hear about la raclette.
C'est un plat qui se mange souvent en hiver, après une journée de ski ou de luge.
Now, you were telling me just before we got started about your ski holiday that you're just back from.
Yes. I was in Switzerland, and obviously I had raclette. I've had raclette many times, but I had raclette again. And it's just amazing. And it's got to be, when you've been skiing all day, it's maybe the most comforting thing that you have, you know, to get to fill you up again.
To fill you up, to restore your energy.
Exactement.
After a day on the slope. So, c'est un plat qui se mange. That's interesting because we've got manger, but here we're translating manger with a kind of reflexive form.
Yeah.
Because in English, I think we would use which is eaten, a passive form. So it's a plate, literally a dish, which is eaten souvent en hiver, often in winter, and then
après une journée de ski, after a whole day skiing.
Ou de luge.
Ou de luge. What's la luge? You know what's la luge, Mark?
Well, it's the Olympic event, where you would go in your luge like a bobsleigh,
yeah.
Or sledging, I guess.
Sledging.
Sledging in a kind of slightly less Olympic fashion.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's hear a little about the history of la raclette.
Au Moyen Âge, la raclette était consommée par les bergers dans les Alpes de la région de Valais en Suisse et en Savoie et Haute-Savoie en France.
Okay, so there are place names here, so don't worry about not fully understanding all of this. We've talked about Valais en Suisse, so Valais, the Valais region in Switzerland, and in Savoie et Haute-Savoie, so two regions of France. But when are we talking here?
Au Moyen Âge.
So in the Middle Ages.
Yes.
So la raclette était consommée, it was consumed. Did you get this part? Par les bergers dans les Alpes. Par les bergers. What are bergers?
That's the shepherds.
The shepherds. It's a lovely word. Les bergers. Am I right in thinking that you would get berger in la crèche and the nativity scene?
Yes. But also, if you do raise sheep, you would be called a berger. But in modern days, you would just probably say he's un fermier.
Okay, so a farmer, or perhaps a sheep farmer, if you specifically raise sheep. Okay, so berger, in this case, by farmers or by shepherds, dans les Alpes, de la région and we've talked about these regions, Valais in Switzerland and Savoie and Haute-Savoie in France. So let's hear what the berger did.
In those days?
In those days?
Les bergers emmenaient le fromage dans les montagnes et le faisaient fondre sur un morceau de pain.
So this is using the verb emmener, one of those lovely verbs that can mean a few things. So the farmers or the shepherds took the fromage, the cheese, up into the mountains, dans les montagnes, et le faisaient fondre and made it melt sur un morceau de pain, on a piece of bread. So they melted the cheese on a piece of bread.
Le terme raclette est dérivé du verbe français racler et désigne le fromage ainsi que le plat.
Right, so you need to help us here. Le terme raclette, so the term raclette is derived from the French verb racler. What does racler mean?
Racler is like when you skim something off the surface.
Okay.
Is that what you say in English?
Yeah, just skim it off the surface.
Skim off, So that's racler, so you just take the top off. So I suppose you melt the cheese, and that wee bit that's just melted, you just skim it off. And enjoy it.
Okay. And it, as the text explains, it designates the cheese and the dish.
The actual dish.
So the dish, which includes other things, as we'll find out.
And nowadays as well, we'll see it later, but the actual
utensil, the cooking thing, the grill.
Cooking thing, the grill,
Cooking thing. That's the technical term. You can see we're better at French than cooking here, I think. Let's go on. Let's hear the next sentence.
Le fromage à raclette existe en plusieurs parfums. Nature, fumée, au poivre, au cumin, aux herbes ou au vin blanc.
Okay, so raclette cheese exists in many flavors, in several flavors. Nature, which is just on its own, the natural.
Can I stop you there, Mark?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it's quite nice, parfum, because it's a word that we is so different from. It's a mistake I used to make a lot in English.
Okay.
You know, can I have this? You're going for an ice cream, for example, and
you wanted
ask,
a perfumed ice cream.
Yes. You know, so it's interesting. It's good for our listeners to remember that.
So it exists in several perfumes. Nature,
flavors.
Which is obviously just on its own. Fumée, which would be smoked. Au poivre.
That's pepper.
Au cumin.
Yeah, that'd be cumin.
Cumin, yeah. Aux herbes
That helps.
ou au vin blanc.
That's with white wine.
With white wine, okay. And how much cheese do we need per person?
Ouais, il faut environ 200 grammes de fromage par personne.
So roughly 200 grams of cheese for every person that's having the raclette dish.
I would like to add plus ou moins.
Plus ou moins. Ça dépend, hein. Ça dépend.
Ça dépend des appétits et ça dépend des petits et des grands.
Let's leave it there. It also depends on how much skiing you've been doing. If you've been
Bien sûr, mais c'est ce que je voulais dire. C'est exactement ce que je voulais dire.
So we want to find out a little more about how the dish is traditionally accompanied.
Yes, sir, Pierre. Le plat est traditionnellement accompagné de pommes de terre, de cornichons et d'oignons au vinaigre, de charcuterie, et souvent servi avec un vin blanc de la région comme un fendant ou un pinot blanc.
Okay, so we've got both food and drink here.
Yeah.
So the dish is traditionally accompanied by potatoes, des pommes de terre, des cornichons, are gherkins.
Gherkins, well done, yeah.
Des oignons au vinaigre.
Oui, donc des oignons au vinaigre, so as kind of a pickled onions.
Pickled onions, yeah, sort of onions soaked in vinegar or kept in vinegar.
Yeah.
De charcuterie.
Ah, you all know what la charcuterie is, I'm sure.
So that would be meat of some kind of, normally in some way smoked meat or something like that.
Yeah, that would be like your saucisson, your salami, your jambon. Okay, cold meat usually.
Cold meat, yeah. Et souvent servi avec, and often served with, un vin blanc de la région. So a white wine of the region. And of course we're talking about Valais and Savoie and indeed further north into Alsace and so on. Yeah. So we mentioned there are two different types of...
We've got a local wine, which is two local wines, the Fendant and the Pinot Blanc.
So a white Pinot.
White Pinot, sorry, yes, not Pinot Noir or Pinot Gris.
And a Fendant, which is another white wine of the region. You can also have it with red wine as well.
I'm sure the people would serve it with maybe a Côte du Rhône or, there's no...
Something lighter than a Bordeaux.
Yeah. Like even for white wine, I have had raclette, served with a Chablis, for example.
Okay.
That's nice as well.
Okay. There you go. Some suggestions for you as well. Let's hear what happened in the past, because this starts with a nice word, autrefois.
Oh, j'adore. Autrefois, la raclette se faisait au feu de bois. Mais aujourd'hui, on utilise des fours à raclette électriques, composés d'un grill électrique, d'une plaque chauffante, et que l'on pose tout simplement au milieu de la table, ce qui rend la soirée très conviviale.
Okay, I love this. We actually had raclette with friends a couple of weeks ago, and they used exactly what is described here. So previously, raclette was made by the wood, or by the fire of wood, basically, a wood fire. But today, on utilise des fours à raclette électriques. So you use electric raclette ovens, I guess, or grills. Yeah. And they're made up of an electric grill and a heated plate.
Yeah, on top of it.
Which you put in the middle of the table.
The whole thing goes in the middle of the table, which makes it very...
convivial. It's a great atmosphere because everyone's sharing things and you can cook whatever meat you want on the hot plate. Yeah. And then you get little paddles to put the cheese on. But we're coming to that, aren't we?
Yeah. On met le fromage dans des petites poêles individuelles appelées coupelles. Et on les place sous le grill jusqu'à ce que le fromage fonde.
Okay, so you put the cheese in little pans, I guess, in individual pans, which are called coupelles, and then you place them under the grill. So the grill is on top, and that's where you're cooking the meat.
But you put the cheese
in the pan. Yeah. So you put the cheese in the pan, and the pan goes under the grill until, and I love this, until the cheese melts. Now let's take a closer look at this, because what we've got here is a lovely subjunctive.
Yeah.
Jusqu'à ce que le fromage fonde. So until the cheese melts. Now, if you're listening to this and you're thinking, what on earth is a subjunctive? Don't worry about the subjunctive. It's not something that you should get your knickers in a twist over. The subjunctive is a lovely concept because it's something that you really get into as you go further with French grammar. And it's just a certain type of verb that you use after certain expressions. And one of them is the word until.
Jusqu'à ce que.
Jusqu'à ce que. So in this case, jusqu'à ce que le fromage fonde. Normally we would say the cheese is melting. Which would
le fromage fond.
Le fromage fond.
That's just a D, there's no E.
So F-O-N-D at the end. But here we've got jusqu'à ce que le fromage fonde. So that's a special type of verb. It's the subjunctive. Okay. We'll not go into any further detail there with that.
Les autres aliments, tels que les légumes et la viande, peuvent être cuits sur la plaque chauffante pendant que le fromage est en train de fondre.
Voilà. So the other food items, les autres aliments, such as, tels que les légumes, the vegetables, et la viande, and the meat, peuvent être cuits. So they can be cooked sur la plaque chauffante, on the heated plate, pendant que, while le fromage est en train de fondre, is in the middle of melting.
In the process
It's
of
a
melting.
process of melting. Lovely. Okay.
En train de plus infinitive, that's a nice wee phrase.
Absolutely.
Lovely wee phrase. Okay.
And then?
Ensuite, il ne reste plus qu'à verser le fromage fondu sur les aliments grillés et les pommes de terre, sans oublier de souhaiter à tout le monde bon appétit.
Okay, so this is lovely. Ensuite, next, il ne reste plus qu'à something. Ooh. A good expression. The only thing left is to do something. So here, il ne reste plus qu'à verser le fromage fondu. So to what's the word? To turn over, to pour over.
Pour over, yeah.
Pour over the melted cheese on the grilled food that you've already grilled, and the pommes de terre and the potatoes.
Yeah. But you mustn't forget
without forgetting de souhaiter à tout le monde bon appétit, without forgetting to wish everyone bon appétit.
Enjoy your meal, yeah.
Well, I think it's time for a little break here because I'm getting quite hungry with all this talk of raclette. We'll be back after the break with our phone-in question. Until then, merci et bon appétit.
Bon appétit.
If you'd like to take your French that bit further, then you may consider signing up for one of our premium courses on the Coffee Break Academy. There's something for everyone, from absolute beginners up to advanced learners, and the premium materials include lesson notes, transcripts, video lessons, exercises, and vocabulary guides, depending on which course you opt for. Head over to coffeebreakacademy.com to find out more. Welcome back. Now, this is the part of the show where the star of Coffee Break French is the Coffee Break French listener, you. And in this episode, we have a question from Marcus, who is asking about the agreement of numbers. So let's have a listen to Marcus's question.
Hello, Coffee Break. My name is Marcus. I'm from California in the United States. I've been studying French on and off for roughly 7 years. And my question is regarding numbers. For example, if I want to say he is 21 years old, it would be il a 21 ans. But I saw recently that for the translation of 1001 Nights, it is 1001 nuits. So I'm wondering what the phenomenon here is. Why is it like this? Why 21 ans, but 1001 nuits? Could you give me further guidance on agreement of numbers?
Merci beaucoup, Marcus. Now, when we're speaking in French, we need to know if a word is masculine or feminine in order to know whether we use un or une, le or la, and indeed how we describe it with various adjectives. And the same goes for using numbers. Normally, you only need to think about whether it's one house or one book, une maison, un livre. But the same goes if a larger number that you're using ends with a 1. So, for example, as Marcus suggested, I am 21 years old would become j'ai 21 ans. 21 ans. So we're using un there because an is a masculine word. Un an. So 21 ans. However, if we were talking about the other word for year, which would be année, which is feminine, une année, and we use année when we're referring to the length of the year. For example, j'ai passé toute l'année en France. I spent the whole year in France. Or j'ai passé un an en France. I spent a year in France. So when we say une année, it's referring to the length of the year. We're reinforcing that. So if we wanted to talk about 21 years using the word année, that would be 21 années. 21 années. 21 years, because année is feminine. The other example Marcus gave was about 1001 nuits. So 1001 nights. That's again because nuit is feminine. Une nuit, so 1001 nuits. However, if we were talking about 1001 days, that would be 1001 jours. 1001 jours. Now, just while we're mentioning 21 and 1001 and so on, it's important to remember with these numbers we have to use des traits d'union, which are hyphens in between each of the words of the number. So 20 hyphen et hyphen 1. 21 with two hyphens in the middle there. 21 années, 20 hyphen et hyphen une année. So whenever you have a number like this, you need to use a hyphen. And that goes also for 46 or 99. In between each of the numbers, you need that hyphen. Okay, I hope that answers your question, Marcus. It's a fairly straightforward thing. Just remember what gender the noun is that you're referring to, that you're counting. Now, if you would like to ask a question and potentially feature in a future episode of Coffee Break French, then simply head over to coffeebreakquestions.com and you can ask your question there. We look forward to receiving your questions and you may well be featured in a future episode. Okay, so for the final section of this episode of the Coffee Break French magazine, we're joined once again by Suzy. Salut Suzy!
Salut Marc!
Ça va?
Ça va bien, merci.
Alors, de quoi vas-tu parler aujourd'hui?
De fromage.
D'accord, ok. Alors, vas-y.
Well, as you know, cheese is a very important part of French culture. There are many types of French cheese, which are divided into 8 categories called les 8 familles de fromage.
Okay, so 8 families of cheese. But how many types of cheese are there, actually?
Well, there are definitely over 400. Some people say over 1,000.
Wow, okay.
But there is a famous quote by the French president Charles de Gaulle, who says, Comment voulez-vous gouverner un pays où il existe 258 variétés de fromage?
So how can you govern a country which has 258 types of cheese?
That's right.
I love it. Okay, excellent. So cheese really is a big deal in France.
Absolument. And therefore it's not surprising that there is an idiomatic expression about cheese.
Okay, let's hear our idiomatic expression then.
Our expression is en faire tout un fromage.
So literally, of it to make all a cheese, or to make a whole cheese about it, yeah?
C'est exact.
Okay, so what does it actually mean, the expression?
It means to make a big deal of something.
Okay.
To make a fuss about nothing, I suppose you could say in English, or to make a mountain out of a molehill.
A whole song and dance about something.
That's right.
Okay, I love it, yep.
Basically to exaggerate the importance of a situation. So the idea is that you start with something as simple as milk and you turn it into something more complex, like cheese.
Okay, so can you give us an example of this in a sentence?
Ce n'est pas la peine d'en faire tout un fromage.
So you would be saying something like, it's not worth making a whole big song and dance about it. It's not worth making a fuss about it.
Voilà.
Okay. Could you also change the fromage to toute une histoire?
You could indeed. You could say, pas la peine d'en faire toute une histoire.
So, pas la peine d'en faire toute une histoire. And the en is about it. That's what we're referring to, that en there. So it's not worth about it, making a big story about it, a big fuss about it, a big deal about it.
C'est ça.
Okay, so we hope that you're able to use this phrase, en faire tout un fromage, at some point in the near future in your own speaking or writing. But that's where we'll leave it now. Merci, Suzy.
Je t'en prie.
Alors, Pierre-Benoît, qu'est-ce que tu en penses?
Oh, this has been a fantastic episode, Mark. I really enjoy the variety, the phone-in, and then the wee segments there. Really, really good, really good.
And of course, we hope that you, our listeners, have enjoyed it. It's fantastic to be back in the studio recording more Coffee Break French content for you.
Oh, that's fantastic, Mark. But can you tell us how our listeners can get more out of this episode, please?
Absolutely. There is, of course, a premium version of this episode of the podcast in which you'll be able to access the transcript of all of the content included in the episode, the chats between Gab and me. We do tend to go off topic a little bit now and then, but that's okay. And, of course, there will be some additional materials too. And you can find out about all of that at the Coffee Break Academy. So simply head to coffeebreakfrench.com and there you'll find the link for the podcast and the premium version of the podcast. For now, that's it. We would like to say merci beaucoup, comme d'habitude, et à la prochaine.
D'accord, à la prochaine. Au revoir à tous.
Et voilà, c'est fini. What did you think of our first episode of this brand new season of our podcast? We would love to hear your comments. We have got a few questions for you because we're also going to be doing some translation challenges in just a moment. But let us know what you think of this new format, of this new podcast. We'd be really, really interested to hear your comments. We've already got a few comments from some of our viewers, our watchers, our viewers. So Doreen is saying it's great to hear some new Coffee Break French podcasts. Sophie is saying great fun as ever. Merci bien à tous et à toutes. We've got Blaine. All the talk of cheese. I made a croque monsieur for lunch. Très bien.
Il faut m'en garder un bout.
Oui, tout à fait. Moi aussi. So Jackie's saying she loves the new format. Brilliant. And I know that there have been a couple of little hiccups there with the sound and so on during the broadcast. But as I say, you'll be able to access all of this afterwards on the podcast feed that will be going out in a little while. Now, we mentioned during the podcast that there is also additional materials for the episode, and that includes written materials to help you get the most out of them. And what I'd like to ask you to do at the moment is just post what you think so far. Let us know your thoughts, and while you're doing that, I'm going to play the video which explains about the premium content. It just lasts 1 minute, so this will give you a flavour of what is involved in the premium content, which is now available.
Coffee Break French Magazine, Season 1.
Oh. I've pressed all the wrong buttons. Let's try that again. Let's try it.
To take advantage of the full version of the Coffee Break French magazine, simply go to coffeebreakacademy.com where you'll find the course for the Coffee Break French magazine. Now, on this page, you'll see that there's an explanation of what is involved in each episode of the magazine, and indeed what's involved in the course. For each lesson, there are 3 elements: the transcript and notes, vocabulary list, and exercises. Let's take a look at what that looks like in the Coffee Break Academy. So here we are for the first episode on the 13th of May. We've got La Raclette, and we can click on episode 1, audio and notes. There you can see you can play the audio for this episode and download it if you prefer. And then you've also got the lesson notes and a transcript of any of the French contained in the lesson notes, with explanations of any difficult parts and things like verb tables fully explained. There's the full study text for explanations, and again with further details of the language covered in the whole lesson. Now you also have access to a vocabulary list, and this will help you review the language that's covered in each lesson. You can cover up one side and test yourself on the other side of vocabulary, and we've provided that in both French to English and English to French sections, so you can test yourself on all of the words contained in the text. We've also provided some exercises, and these will help you consolidate what you've learned in each episode, picking up some of the important language points and covering them in more detail. And of course, we've provided an answer key too. So to access all of this, simply go to coffeebreakacademy.com.
So there you have the details about the premium version of the Coffee Break French magazine podcast. So you've got the lesson notes and the transcripts of all the French that we use during the episode, and of course the text itself. You've got the vocabulary list, which you can use to test yourself, and then also the exercises, which again are great for consolidation. And all of that is at the Coffee Break Academy, and the course is now available, so you can head over there and purchase that. Now, be aware, if you do purchase that today you'll get access to Lesson 1, but Lesson 2 won't be published until let me look at my calendar here. Listen to is going out on the 27th of May. So that's in 2 weeks' time. 2 weeks' time from today, and then subsequent weeks we'll be publishing the new content. So buying it now doesn't mean that you'll get access to all 10 lessons immediately. We're publishing these every 2 weeks over the summer, and the full details and the dates are on the site. So if you have any questions about that, we'll of course be very happy to answer them. There are a couple of questions already coming up. Pamela is asking how often will there be podcasts? And I've just answered that, in fact. So the podcasts will be published every 2 weeks. We'll be stopping over the summer and then back in August. A few other comments. Tasha saying, je suis très contente pour cette nouvelle saison de Coffee Break French. Merci beaucoup, Tasha.
Cool.
Diane, who is saying, bravo, it's a good combination of regular paced speaking and then a slower version to help with the comprehension. That's what we're aiming for, so that's good. Yuri is saying, nous saluons le retour. Merci beaucoup. And Wendy loves the new format. And also Bill is saying, j'adore ce nouveau programme. Merci beaucoup, Bill. Okay. It's now time to put it to the test because we've got some translations for you. And what we're going to do here is invite you to try to work out how you would say something in French based on what you've heard in this podcast. So let me bring up this screen. I should be able to do this. I hope I pressed the right button this time. Here we go. So this is your first translation challenge. What we'd like to do is invite you to post your answer to this as a comment in the Facebook Live. So, in total, I've spent 31 weeks in Canada. That's what we'd like you to translate into French. In total, I've spent 31 weeks in Canada, and be careful with your numbers because that's one of the things we were focusing on in this episode. So, you've got 10 seconds to post your answers here. Okay, so we're translating in total. I've spent 31 weeks in Canada. Okay, in total, I've spent 31 weeks in Canada. We've got Julia who has written this. She says, au total, j'ai passé, and then she put the number in, semaine au Canada. Of course, we're looking for the actual number written out in full because that one is a little bit tricky. Tasha saying, en total, j'ai passé 31 semaines au Canada. Any comments, Pierre-Benoît?
C'est pas en total, il y a un petit mot qui est différent. Le premier mot ne devrait pas être en, mais au.
Oh, exactement.
J'ai le droit de donner la réponse?
Oui, c'est bon, c'est bon. Donc, Hamish dit aussi, en total, j'ai passé 31 semaines au Canada. Bravo pour les traits d'union. Well done in getting your hyphens in there. Agatha saying, j'ai passé 31 semaines au Canada en total. So again, a little bit of changing around there. We've got lots of answers coming in now.
Good though. Very good.
Excellent. Yeah, Ham saying, j'ai passé 31 semaines au Canada. So of course, the thing that we're checking here is that 31 semaines, because we've got to make the une agree with semaine. But of course, there's no S on it because 31, une is still a singular number. So let's see what the correct answer is. Let me see this. Something's gone wrong here. We'll take off that and see if we can do this. Locked. Okay, we need to unlock that. And then I can do this. Voilà. Au total, j'ai passé 31 semaines au Canada. Okay, number 2. Let us translate our second sentence from English into French. And again, if you can post your answer as a comment, that would be fantastic. And of course, we'll read some out. So let's have a look at number 2. It's not worth making a fuss about it. So that was one of Susie's phrases from this episode. It's not worth making a fuss about it. See if you can work out how you would say this in French.
Oh.
It's not worth making a fuss about it.
Pas évident ça, hein?
C'est pas évident, en fait.
Bah non. Celle-ci, celle-là est plus difficile que l'autre.
Je pense, oui. The other thing that you've got to remember here is that there is something kind of tricky in here, and it's that little pronoun that we need to remember. So, what are we going to say for this one? The question is, it's not worth making a fuss about it. That's what we are trying to translate. And we are looking for some comments from our listeners to let us see if we've got anyone who's got this particular one right. Now, it's actually one of the phrases that was covered in the episode. So Susie mentioned this one, and it's one of those cheesy phrases. We've been liking some cheesy phrases tonight. So let's see. Hamish is suggesting c'est pas la peine en faire tout un fromage. Pas mal, pas mal.
C'est bien, ouais. Bravo.
You need to think about one word in there, Hamish, though, and that is the de. Ce n'est pas la peine de faire quelque chose. So you need that de. So let's see what else we've got. Ham saying c'est pas grave, I can't remember the other one. No problem. We've got Yulia who's saying ça ne vaut pas la peine de s'emballer.
Ouh.
On pourrait dire ça?
De s'emballer, oui. S'emballer, c'est pas mal. Ça ne vaut pas la peine de s'emballer pour quelque chose, ouais. Mais c'est quand même très positif. Alors que l'autre expression peut en fait considérer les deux, le négatif et le positif.
Oui, exact. Donc il y a Jennifer aussi qui dit ça ne vaut pas en faire tout un fromage. Now you've got the en in there. How
Bravo, en faire tout un fromage.
Ouais.
Elle a utilisé la bonne expression, par contre. Ça, c'est bien.
Oui, tout à fait. Et ça ne vaut pas en faire tout un fromage, on pourrait dire ça?
Non. Non, il faut vraiment, ça ne vaut pas la peine.
Oui.
Il faut vraiment avoir les deux mots la peine. Okay. En valoir la peine ou ce n'est pas la peine.
Ce n'est pas la peine, exactement. Donc il y a Yuri qui dit pas la peine d'en faire tout le fromage.
Oh, dommage. Parce qu'en fait, on peut raccourcir l'expression et juste dire pas la peine d'en faire et après le reste.
Oui, voilà.
Donc c'est bien, bravo.
Très bien. Okay, so let us have a look at the actual correct answer. If we bring this button back in, we should be able to see ce n'est pas la peine d'en faire tout un fromage. So literally, it is not the pain, it is not worth the bother of it to do all a cheese. Okay? Sounds a little bit strange.
J'adore le français. Ouais.
Ce n'est pas la peine d'en faire tout un fromage. Voilà. Ok, très bien. Nous en avons deux.
On a une autre expression, en fait, Marc, aussi. On peut dire d'en faire tout un fromage ou d'en faire tout un plat.
Ah, tout un plat.
Ça aussi, c'est possible. Ok? Faire un plat de quelque chose, faire un fromage de quelque chose.
Excellent.
Donc, c'est une variante.
Oui, une variante. Très bien. But since we're talking about raclette, let's stick with the fromage. You know me, I always like the cheese.
Of course.
Okay, let's come back and look at our third expression that we're going to translate. Here you go. We are waiting. See, we're sticking with the cheese. We are waiting until the cheese melts. We are waiting until the cheese melts. Now that is a tricky one. You need to be careful with this. Okay, we are waiting until the cheese melts. Let's see what you can come up with for that.
Ça me donne faim tout ça, moi.
Oui, moi aussi. Moi, j'ai pas encore mangé, en fait.
Moi non plus.
We're waiting until the cheese melts. Let's have a try at translating this one. Once again, if you post your comments in the comments box, and then we can try to put some of them on the screen. And thank you to those of you who are posting comments too about the show and about Coffee Break French in general. We will come back and share some of them just before the end of the broadcast. We've just got two more translations to do. So we've got some answers now. Let's bring ourselves back.
Déjà? Bravo.
Déjà, oui. So we're waiting until the cheese melts. We've got Agatha who is saying on attend jusqu'à ce que du fromage fonde.
C'est pas mal, hein? C'est pas mal du tout.
Pas mal du
Bravo.
Tout. Okay, we've also got Sophie who's saying nous attendons jusqu'à la fromage est fonde.
Oh oui, en essayant un petit passé, c'est bien, bravo.
Okay.
Bravo.
We've got Ham saying on attend jusqu'à ce que le fromage fonde.
Ça c'est plutôt bien, on va dire. That's good. Well done. Well done, very
Vance,
good.
now, this is an interesting one because Vance is saying nous attendons jusqu'à le fromage fondra. Thinking about a future tense there. And that, you're getting the idea because you're thinking it's happening in the future, so that would be something that you could do. However, that's not the way it works in French. Let's look at a couple of other examples. We've got Phil who's saying, on attend jusqu'à ce que le fromage ne fonde. Oh là 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 là. Oh là 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 là. Bravo.
Bravo, hein? Ouais.
We've got Yulia
Super.
saying, on attend à ce que le fromage fond.
C'est bien aussi. Fonde.
Yeah, we've got the subjunctive in there. Nous attendons que le fromage soit fondu.
C'est bien aussi.
Acceptable?
Oui, j'accepte aussi. OK. Ouais.
Okay, we've got some fantastic answers, I think, which are being autocorrected, but I'll not read those ones out. Autocorrected in English when you're writing in French, it's brilliant. We've got Rita saying, on attend jusqu'à ce que le fromage fonde. Andrew saying, on attend jusqu'à le fromage fond. Julia, on attend à ce que le fromage fond. And Wendy, nous attendons jusqu'à ce que la fromage fonde. We're almost there, but we did have one. I think it was Phil back there who gave us the correct answer, the exact correct answer.
You did very well.
Correct answer.
Bravo, Phil.
So let us just come back here and bring in the correct answer. Nous attendons jusqu'à ce que le fromage fonde. Or, if you want to be ultra correct, then you could say nous attendons jusqu'à ce que le fromage ne fonde. Pierre Benoît,
okay.
Tu veux bien nous expliquer ce qui se passe avec ce petit ne?
It's called a ne expletif and it's optional in the expression jusqu'à ce que. Okay, you can use the ne before the verb. It doesn't change the meaning. Okay, or you don't have to use it. It's different from other expression when you have to use the ne. Okay, but in jusqu'à ce que, sorry.
Like, for example, attendre que.
Attendre que avant que needs the ne. Okay, although a lot of French people tend to omit it. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's, I would say to try to avoid any embarrassment or any complication, I would say when you are writing it down, when you are writing, right, put the ne. Yeah. When you are speaking, they will understand if you don't put the ne because a lot of French people actually don't use it.
Exactly.
So that would be.
Sorry. Vas-y.
That's me.
Okay. In the transcript for this episode, we decided not to use the ne, primarily to have this conversation so that we could talk more about whether we need the ne in there or whether we don't need the ne. And the fact is, it was a transcript for a spoken presentation, so we kind of decided that would be okay.
Well, if it's a transcript, it's written, so you should put it in. But because it's a transcript of a conversation or something spoken, then fair enough. I think our listeners, our watchers will understand that.
Exactly.
Now.
Okay, one final translation question, and then that will be us done for this evening. Let's have a look. So that's that one. So here we go. I'll need 201 grams of cheese. That's a very specific amount of cheese. But that's what you're translating. I'll need 201 grams of cheese. So you need to be thinking about the gender of grams in French. I'll need 201 grams of cheese. Off you go. See what you can come up with for that one.
Allez.
We should have some music here or something like that to...
Je peux chanter si tu veux, mais bon.
Vas-y, si tu veux. Tu connais une chanson à propos du fromage?
Non. J'ai un trou, comme dans le gruyère.
Okay, so I will need 201 grams of cheese. That is your phrase for translation. I will need 201 grams of cheese. As I say, it's a very specific amount, but nonetheless, it is it's the amount that you're translating. Here we go. We've got an answer already from Julia. Il me faut 201 grammes de fromage.
C'est bien, il me faut, c'est bien, mais on avait dit I will need, c'est ça, non? On avait un petit futur.
Yes, it was indeed a futur.
Ouais.
So not quite right there, but it works.
But it's a lovely expression.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mark. Il me faut is a lovely expression. I mean, well done. Well done. Is that Julia? Yeah.
Yep.
Well done.
And just watch the 201 grammes de fromage, because that's not quite right. Agatha went a similar way. Il me faut 201 grammes de fromage. Not quite right.
Ah, c'est grave.
Zoe is saying, j'aurais besoin de 201 grammes du fromage.
Oh!
There are so many ways that this can go a little bit wrong. We've got Ham, who is saying, il me faut 201 grammes de fromage. And I apologize because my phone is suddenly, Siri came to life there for some reason. So we've got Vance also saying, j'aurais besoin de 201 grammes du fromage. Remember, if you say du fromage, you're saying of the cheese, of which cheese. It's a particular cheese there. It's avoir besoin de quelque chose. And also, when you describe an amount, it would be 201 grammes de fromage. Une tasse de thé, not une tasse du thé, and so on. So just be careful with that. Danny is saying, j'aurais besoin de 201 grammes de fromage. We're almost there. Hamish, j'aurais besoin de 201 grammes de fromage. Bill is saying, j'aurais 201 grammes de fromage. I will have, but you won't have, you need to have need of them. Jennifer is also going with a feminine version of gramme.
Gramme, oui.
J'allais besoin from Sophie, not quite right. It would be j'aurais. And then Ron is going for the option of just putting the number in. J'aurais besoin de 201 grammes de fromage. Bravo, Ron.
Bravo.
Okay,
Bravo, Ron.
Let's look at our correct answer. We'll bring this back on. We'll just get Ron off the screen there. Our correct answer is j'aurais besoin de 201 grammes de fromage. So the word gramme is masculine. Therefore, we're going to be using un at the end of our number. We also note that you don't put an S in at the end of cent when it's followed by another number. If it were just 200 grams of cheese, then it would be 200, C-E-N-T-S. But because we're following it with another number, we don't put an S in.
Mm-hmm. Très bien. Also, something to remind our watchers with is the idea that you don't link as a sound, you don't link the T with you don't do the liaison.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound right.
So you would say 201 as opposed to 201.
Mais 201, c'est pas bon. Ça sonne pas français. It doesn't ring. Yeah.
Okay, those were our translation challenges. Thank you to all of you who posted your answers there.
Bravo!
Really, really
bravo à tous.
And bravo as well for trying it, because that's the whole thing. It doesn't matter if you make a mistake. The real mistake is not trying. There's a lovely Italian expression, sbagliando si impara. I know we're here to learn French tonight, but sbagliando si impara means that by making a mistake, you learn. So by making these mistakes, you'll learn, and indeed so will everyone else. I know that there have been a few little technical hiccups tonight. I know that some people have found it a little bit difficult to see the words on screen as we're posting the answers and so on, especially if you've got the comments coming up on the screen if you're watching on an iPad or a tablet or something like that. But hopefully you have enjoyed this, and hopefully it's been something a little bit different for our launch of the Coffee Break French magazine. Of course, just a reminder that you can head over to coffeebreakacademy.com for the full version of the course with the additional materials, the additional text materials. You can also head over to coffeebreakfrench.com where you'll get all the links for the podcast. And if you're already subscribed to our podcast on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify or wherever you get the podcast, then you will already have that downloaded to your phone or your tablet if you're already subscribed. There will be a replay of this, of course. It will be available after the event, and we'll also be writing out to everyone who's a past subscriber to anything that we do to sorry, I've been really distracted there at Phil commenting on the beautiful shirt that Pierre Benoit is wearing. I apologize for my shirt this evening. I was planning on being home tonight to do this, but I'm still in the office and it's 8:25.
Il est très beau ton polo, Marc. Ton polo est très beau.
Aussi belle que ta chemise. So we hope that you've enjoyed this. And most of all, that you enjoy the Coffee Break French magazine. Merci beaucoup. One final point, and that is if you would like to ask a question. Sorry. Sorry, I think I just managed to mute my microphone in time there. Sorry, if you would like to ask a question for the Coffee Break French magazine, I'm just going to put this on the screen and then I'm going to play the music because I don't think I can talk anymore. But that is where you need to go, coffeebreakquestions.com, and there you will be able to ask your own question. And hopefully we will answer it in a future episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for joining us tonight and staying right to the end. It has been a pleasure being with you. Pierre Benoit, merci beaucoup comme d'habitude. À toi.
Moi aussi, j'ai adoré cette toute première expérience. Merci beaucoup, Marc, et puis à bientôt pour un deuxième épisode.
Indeed, tout à fait. Actually, just on that point, the next episode, which will be out on the 27th, is a lovely theme. What's the topic that we're looking at next time?
Je crois que c'est sur Saint-Exupéry, je crois.
C'est ça, the author Saint-Exupéry, and one particular book that he wrote that you may well be familiar with. But since I have zero voice left, I'm going to say merci.
Le Petit Prince?
Le Petit Prince, c'est ça. Oui, j'ai bien un chat dans la gorge, Bill. J'ai bien un chat
tu as un chat dans la gorge.
Thank you also to Katrina, who's behind the scenes and doing all the responses to your comments on Facebook. Merci beaucoup, Katrina. And yeah, we'll be back again soon, but we hope that you enjoy the Coffee French magazine. À la prochaine. Salut.
À plus. Ciao.